Okay, this is the video over section 1.1, and this is just a basic review of Algebra 1 over expressions and formulas. So first, just to make sure we're all on the same page, variables are used in algebra, and variables are just letters used to represent unknown quantities. And algebraic expressions are expressions that contain at least one variable. And remember, anytime we're solving or evaluating expressions, we want to follow the order of operations. So remember the order of operations, parentheses first, exponents. Remember, here's an example of an exponent. Then we're going to multiply or divide in order from left to right. And then we're going to add or subtract in order from left to right. And you may have heard that, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, to follow the order of operations. So here's example 1. You need to make sure you have example 1 written down and write this down as we go. So it says evaluate, here's my expression, and then it says m equals 3 and p equals negative 4. So the first thing I'm going to do is plug 3 in for my m, 3 in for my m, and then p is negative 4, so I have negative 4 minus 1, and it's quantity squared. So if I follow the order of operations, that means I have to do parentheses first. So I'm going to have 3 plus negative 4 minus 1, that's negative 5, quantity squared. So I've done parentheses. Now I'm going to look for exponents. Here's an exponent. So it's negative 5 quantity squared, so that means negative 5 times negative 5. That's going to be positive 25. Remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. I don't have any multiplication or division, so now I'm just going to add that together, 28. And anytime it says evaluate, that means, see this word value in the middle of it? That means I have a value or a number as my answer. All right, next one, example 2. Evaluate a plus b squared times the quantity b minus a. Again, we're just going to plug numbers in. So a is 5 plus b squared, but b squared is negative 3.2 quantity squared. And when you write those parentheses, that negative has to be on the inside of the parentheses. And then I have b, which is negative 3.2, minus a, which is 5. So I have 5 plus negative 3.2 times a negative 3.2. So I already know it's going to be a positive answer. 3.2 times 3.2 is 10.24. And then that's going to be multiplied by, I have a negative 3.2 minus 5. Okay, so since my signs are the same, I'm going to add and keep the sign. So a negative 3.2 minus 5. Add and keep your sign. It's negative 8.2. So make sure we follow the order of operations. So what were the order of operations? Please. So I did my parentheses. Here's my parentheses. I also did my exponents. So please excuse. So here's parentheses. Here's exponents. Now we're going to multiply or divide first. So this right here is a multiplication problem. I have a positive times a negative. So you always do multiplication and division, and then you should always be adding or subtracting the very last. So I have my 5, and then 10.24 times a negative 8.2. So 10.24, times a negative 8.2 is a negative 83.968. So I've done multiplication and I didn't have any division. So now I can subtract these. 5 minus 83.968. Signs are different, so we're going to subtract. I know my answer is going to be a negative 78.968. And that is our answer. Example 3. Evaluate. Okay, so we're going to plug in our numbers. I know x is negative 3, and that's to the 4th, minus 3 times 4 times negative 5, all over y, which is negative 5, and that's cubed, plus 2 times 4. So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I don't really have parentheses. I have parentheses here, but these are actually because they're being multiplied. Then it says please excuse, so I'm going to do exponents next. So negative 3 to the fourth, that means negative times negative times negative times a negative. That means it's going to be a positive, and 3 to the fourth is 81, because 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So 81. All right, minus 3 times 4 is 12. 12 times a negative 5 is a negative 60. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. Negative 5 to the third power, that means negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. That's going to be negative 125 plus 2 times 4 is 8. So now we're going to do the top. 81 minus a negative 60. Anytime you have two negatives together like that, makes it a positive. So really that's 81 plus 60. So that's going to be what? 141. Negative 125 plus 8. That's going to give me negative 117. And then I don't think that's going to simplify at all. So if it won't simplify, you're going to leave it. This actually simplifies. Let's see what goes into that. 117. This actually simplifies down to 47 over 39. So, and this is negative because I have positive over negative. Okay, example 4. The formula for the volume of a cone is V equals 1/3 pi r squared h, and it can be used to approximate the volume of a tornado. Find the approximate volume of the tornado at the right. All right, so here's my tornado. This line right here is telling me the height. The height of the tornado is 225 meters. My radius, okay, remember the radius starts in the middle of the circle and goes out, and they're saying that it's 75 meters long. Okay, so I'm going to write that down. My height is 225, and my radius is 75 meters. So now I'm going to plug these numbers into this formula. Volume equals 1/3, times pi. So pi times my radius, which is 75, and that's squared, times my height, which is 225. So volume equals. So right now, see how this 3 is on the bottom? I'm going to multiply my pi. So it's 1 times pi, which is pi. 75 squared is 5,625 times 225. And that whole thing, I can write it divided by 3, because 1/3 is the same thing as dividing something by 3. So now I'm going to multiply all these top numbers together. So pi, 3.14, or you can use your pi button on your calculator, times 5,625 times 225. And then in my calculator, I'm going to go ahead and divide that by 3. And I get this long, big number, 13255. Let's see, 132. I wrote that down wrong. 1325359.401. So we'd probably round that to 1,325,359, and that is going to be meters cubed, because we're finding volume, and volume is measured in cubic units. All right, so that is a huge tornado. All right, let's see if we have one more. Okay, so this is going to be your assignment for tomorrow. Assignment 1.1, pages 7 and 8, problems 2 through 40 even. Okay, so I will see you in class.